Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Scorpio is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It is totally free. It does not cost you anything. If there's something you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a timeless reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger. And I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Scorpio, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And here we have the Princess of Wands. I feel like you are ready for change. You're ready for that kind of, that renewed burst of life. You know, ready to really, to experiment, to start new activities, to immerse yourself in new things, to get that feeling again of the excitement and of growth and of new things, right? It's kind of it's a very springtime feeling, right? And so I wonder where we're putting some of this energy and how it might be affecting you. I feel like I feel like something's really lit a fire in you. And maybe there's just a question about what to do with it, where to go with it, right? Let's put this into some context. This is really active energy, yeah. Very exciting energy. This is an energy that's ready to, kind of dance with a tiger, as this figure's doing. And there's the Fool on top of that. Okay, now we got to be careful a little bit because we don't want to go overboard. We don't want to be too carefree, or we don't want to be too impulsive. We don't want to take too many risks, okay? But you're being guided by a divine hand. There's the Star card. There's the Art or Temperance card. So we need to temper this energy. We need a little bit of this water, a little bit of the strategy kind of the Temperance card, in order to give us a little bit of a direction with these two, because these two are these two get together, and this is, it's a lot of fun, but somebody's going to end up in jail, or somebody's going to end up, in the hospital. It's a wild combination, okay? There's the direction that we need. So, oh yes, and there's the kind of thoughtful looking ahead, the thinking of consequences, right? You really do have all the best cards. This freedom, this creative energy, this transcendent attitude, right? You've got a mind that is set on transformation, transcendence, and freedom, and creativity, and progress. This is really nice. But you have all of these really great qualities that are surrounding you to keep this from really boiling over. You know what I mean? We've got the Three of Pentacles. We're turning it into something that's functional on this plane. And there's the Hermit energy in the environment, too. Interesting. There's a Six of Wands, victory, and another quite impulsive energy with the Knight of Wands, fire on fire over here. But this is a maturity, right? The Princess of Wands is really that kind of energy that goes around setting fires everywhere. Just likes the excitement, likes the drama, likes to do something different, doesn't matter what it is. The more upset people get, the better it is, right? But the Knight of Wands, by the end of the reading, see, we have a bit more maturity about it, where we have a direction, where we have these fiery, impulsive ideas, right? But we're able to harness them with using it's kind of, the horse and the rider have to become one unit. There has to be unity. You don't want the horse to carry you away. And of course, we don't want the rider, we don't want our intellect or our rational mind to really stamp out any fun at all, we don't want it to be as like a wet blanket on our creativity, So I think that by the end, there's this maturity where we have a sense of direction, we have a sense of calm, control, assertiveness, but still the wild creativity, the wild freedom, right? But now it's kind of harnessed, yeah. I like this very much. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. It'll go right here. Tiny Bob Ross will go on top. That's the card that we're not going to look at until the very end. All right. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need. If at any point during this program you feel like you know what that card is, I want you to put your prediction in the comments. All right, let's do it together. Let's see if we can tap into our intuition and start discerning that card together. Right? I think it's a good, healthy practice for us. Let's take a look around the room. Major. You have good major arcana energy. Yeah, really, really good major arcana energy. And I kind of feel like with the Hermit over here, this was like, let's say, a period of winter time, where there is just gestation, there is introspection, there is kind of staying home and really focusing on that inner work. But now with this is the green man of spring anyway. Now we've got this kind of springtime energy. And I know some of you are on the southern hemisphere where it's not springtime. But there's still this energy that's there, okay? And it's that energy of having done that internal work, having consolidated our forces, having come to a lot of realizations, having done the spiritual work, and processed and released a lot of things. Now it's really time to get out and kind of show the world what we have, It seems like it's time now for you to put all of this hermit stuff, all of this introspection, all this spiritual work, all this emotional processing, that sort of thing, really put it to good use, right? We really want to get out there and express ourselves and be creative and experiment, do different things, meet different people. I kind of feel the hermit in the position of the environment is kind of like the opposite, right? It's supposed to represent maybe where we have been, or, it could be the kind of opposite tendency in you. I think usually you are kind of a hermit mode type of person generally, right? I feel like you like to spend time with yourself. I feel that the internal environment, the internal work, the spiritual work is very important to you. You value your solitude. You value your time with yourself, right? Contrasted with that are these two very wild energies, very wild energies. And so it could be that life is really bringing you a lot of new opportunities, and you can't help but feel excited about some of this stuff. I really feel like you have all the best cards because you also have the Art or Temperance card, which is about the blending together of opposites, the alchemy that takes place. You don't have to be one or the other. We're talking about the Hermit and then, the kind of the opposite energy with the Fool, but they are opposites, but you can be both. And indeed, you are both. And you can utilize both of these energies to, achieve your victory in life, right? To really succeed at what you're trying to do. I don't know if you're starting some kind of a new profession or a new sport or a new hobby, a new creative kind of passion. Whatever it is, I feel like you're being guided every step of the way. Star card underneath it all, right? What I do notice, though, is that there's we've got our majors, we've got fire, of course, here. We've got no water cards. We've got a little bit of air, and we've got a little bit of earth. But it's mostly the majors and the fire. I think we're really getting, fired up or inspired by the Spirit right now in our lives. And it's kind of bringing us out. It's like we're stretching and yawning out of this hermit mode, and we're ready. We've got all these ideas. It could be that you really had this period of introspection and you filled up binders or notebooks full of ideas, thoughts, and creative, just like poetry and songs that you'd written and just ideas that you've had, just random thoughts. But it's like I'm seeing like a stack of notebooks around you, okay? And I think now it's like, okay, now it's time to get started on some of these things. Let's go. I'm fired up. Yeah. And it's nice that we have the Art or Temperance card because this is the balance that we need. We have to still maintain that hermit within us, right? We still want to keep ourselves a little bit, not separated from the environment, but we want to make sure that we keep our boundaries, okay? So the hermit, we don't want the hermit to go away. We just need to blend the hermit with the Fool. The hermit and the Fool are both sages, you see. One is the introspective sage, wants to have a boundary between you and me. This and that, there's a boundary. Okay? I know where I end and where you begin. It's distinct, right? And that's the cloak that the hermit wears. Take off the cloak. What are you? Nothing but a fool, right? The fool doesn't want boundaries. The fool doesn't know boundaries. It is infinitely expanding, wants to take everything. Doesn't know the difference between me and you, this and that, good and bad, right? And what you, I think, are trying to do with the Art or Temperance card is have a little bit of both. Have boundaries, but not too much. You know, have this feeling of openness and infinite perception and the blending of self with not self, but then also you got to have some boundaries, you know. And I think we're really getting the best of both worlds, and I think that's what we see with the 6. The 6 is the 3 and the 3 coming together in a perfect interlocking kind of mesh system. Yeah. And all of this is being guided by your underlying sense of the divine hand. I think that you really have a star that is guiding your light, that is showing you the way forward. Yeah. That is acting as kind of a spiritual flashlight, just showing you the path that's before you. And I think really what you're doing as you grow into this energy, you're starting to have more long distance. That flashlight's, the lumens are really increasing on it, right? So you're able to see further and further into the distance. And that's what the Knight of Pentacles does. It has the spiritual vision to see into the future. Yeah. You can see the week, the month, the year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And you can see where you will be, who you will be, what you will be doing, based on your actions right now. Every thought, word, and deed right now in this moment, in every moment, is changing the vision that the Knight of Pentacles has of the future. So you look into the future now, you look 10 years, 20 years, well, that's what reality will be for you based on what you're doing now. Change what you're doing, you change the vision, you change the picture, right? Kind of like that Back to the Future movie, Michael J. Fox. So we understand that everything we do, every choice we make in this moment is crucially important, right, for our future self. And this is that kind of, this is the energy that can see how we are affecting the future. So we can see the long-term karmic consequences of all of our thoughts and words and deeds. Okay. And this is great foresight to have. Yeah. So you're surrounded by a lot of really wonderful cards. The star, back to the star card, this really is that divine guidance. Okay. And I think what's going on in the star card is that spiritual light is coming down on you. It's illuminating you, it's activating you, it's showing you things in yourself. I think you went through a very intense period of purging, very intense period of purification, okay, of this kind of internal processing of old traumas, emotions, experiences. We really did a lot of internal spiritual work in the last few months. And now that light is being poured onto the ground, which means it's being spilled out. Spirit's dumping it. It's like a glowing water, right? Spirit is dumping it out onto the ground, and it's forming a path to the future, and that's the path that you're walking. Yeah. So it really is, this card is both of those things. It's really a spiritual illumination internally, and now you get that glowing kind of path before you. And that's the path that you're trying to walk. And it's kind of a tightrope walk at times, because we've got again, fool and hermit. We got this, this seeming dichotomy between the infinite and boundary-less fool, and then of course the hermit that just wants to stay separate from everything and everyone, So it's difficult to kind of stay on this tightrope that we're walking, but a good indication of your success is the fact that this is the only swords card we have. We don't see a lot of doubt. We don't see a lot of confusion. We don't see a lot of figuring, right? There's no calculator here. There's no slide rule, and it's a clarity. And I think you see the path before you, and effortlessly, without too much mindfulness, right? Everybody talks about mindfulness. Sometimes we can have too much mind, right? You ever see the Last Samurai? That line will always stick with me. Too much mind. Too many minds. Yeah, too many minds. So we don't need to analyze and pick apart every single movement that we're doing. We really just have to glance down at our feet every once in a while to make sure we're still on that glowing path. Yeah, that illuminated path. And then just do it. Just keep doing what you're doing. Check in once in a while with the future vision. Look down once in a while and see that glowing path beneath your feet here. And you're on it. We do have to be careful with this energy that we don't get too enticed by drama, by, risk-taking and this kind of impulsive behavior, because that's a lot of what the Princess of Wands is about, especially with that tiger that they're dancing with here. But in a way, it kind of reflects the future state of the horse and the rider becoming one. This is the princess and the tiger becoming one. We're able to dance with the tiger because we are the tiger. We're not scared of it. We're not afraid of it. It's not going to get us into trouble, right? It's not going to harm us because we are it. And that is our kind of animal nature. That is our instinctual, this passionate kind of, force and fire that's really becoming active in you right now. You really got all the best cards. I'm stunned by what we see here. Because we have a Fool, I want to do an I Ching hexagram. I think that would be good. The I Ching likes to tell us when we're being a sage or when we're being a fool. Okay? And since we have kind of both of these here, I think it's a wonderful opportunity to do an I Ching hexagram in this reading. We usually do the I Ching hexagrams in the extended readings. And that's the one, or is that two? That might be two. Well, that's okay. We do one for each. Look at that. Earth and then following. From the source, creating success, constancy bears fruit, no mistake. Honor the flow of energy from source to fulfillment and align your actions to it, allowing your ideal outcome to meld with the natural current. Following may then be an effortless flow of supportive synchronicities. Moving with the creative process is never a mistake. How are things flowing? And how can you move with them? Where are you being nudged and guided? I think it's more than a nudge. I think it literally is a path that is being illuminated before you. And this is you following. That's all you've got to do is follow that path. And that's what the Fool is going to do. The Fool is really effortless action. The Fool is zero self-consciousness. Nothing sticks to the Fool. It has really no identity because it is all. It is everything, right? So there's no discernment. Well, you need a little bit of that discernment. And like I said, it's merely a matter of looking at your feet and making sure you're following that starlit path before you, right? And now over here for the Hermit, we've got the hexagram of Earth. Now, this hexagram also implies a bit of following. It doesn't imply a leadership anywhere. There's no implication of leadership in either of these cards. Earth, from the source, creating success. The constancy of a mare bears fruit. A noble one has a direction to go. At first confusion, later gains a master. Peaceful constancy brings good fortune. So gains a master. We have the idea of the constancy of a mare, right? We have this idea of not trying to be a leader, not trying to really have a particular goal or coerce the universe. It's very spontaneous. It's very easygoing. Partners with creative force in the flow of creation. When you have a mare's constancy, you will be steadily loyal to the truth and action. The noble one has a direction in mind, but not the route planned out. At first, there are many possibilities, but once you begin, guidance and signs can be received to light your way. How are you being guided? And how can you lend your strength? Well, this is perfect. And this is the idea now of not trying to use our intellectual energy to determine the path, to figure it out. Put your calculator away, Scorpio. Allow yourself to be guided. Follow the path before you. Be guided by spirit. Don't try to lead the way and calculate what every move is going to be. Look down to check your feet and make sure you're still on the path, but then just Just do and experience and go with that flow of things here. We do have a 3 of Pentacles. I feel like this is something that is translating into a very productive period of time for you. I think you're going to produce a lot of things. And it's kind of a byproduct. You know, the production of goods or the production of the music or the art is not really, you know, it's not the most important thing. The sphere of the earth is like kind of the last consideration on the tree of life, right? It's the scaffolding of the building. It's just kind of the residue that is secreted by all of these spiritual forces, and then we get some matter, right? We get some material at the end. The process is a spiritual one, is a subtle one. The material component of it is almost an unnecessary afterthought sometimes. In this case, I think so much of this energy is subtle and spiritual that what you are producing, you're going to have to make an intention. You're going to have to really, you're going to have to bring your attention to it, because it's just going to be happening. You're going to be in this productive kind of state, but you've got to try to stay organized, and you've got to turn it into a working system. Okay, and again, follow the guidance of Spirit in this case, because we might get so wrapped up in the experience of things, because the Fool and the Princess of Wands, like, they don't care about the results of their actions. They just care about the experience. You know, the Princess of Wands wants to light the fire. The Fool just wants to watch it burn. Does not care of consequences. Does not care about what we are actually producing or what the results of our work is. So we have to follow Spirit in this sense too, because you're entering a very productive, prolific time in your life, and we've got to be able to keep that organized. And whether it's turning into like a side business or your main career or your artistic thing or your Etsy shop or your YouTube channel or something, we got to stay organized, and we got to keep that well maintained, right? Follow Spirit. Don't let this wild energy kind of get away from you, and then everything that you are producing just kind of gets lost in the shuffle or gets filed away somewhere else, or, you know, God forbid, gets thrown away or something. You know what I mean? Because this is going to be very productive. I think you already have notebooks of ideas. I think you're going to have kind of an equal proportion of, you know, finished goods, you know, actual productions. There's a lot that you're going to be producing in the next few months, okay? The Six of Wands is kind of our obstacle here, and this is the blending together, again, the blending together of the Fool and the Hermit, they are both sages, okay? They're just different aspects of the same kind of sagely energy. Both of them have the idea now, the advice from the I Ching to follow the star, to follow the divine path, to allow the spiritual light to guide you. Okay, and I think if we can do that, we will achieve victory. The Six of Wands is called victory, and it's victory over flux. It's a harmony that gets established after there is a lot of change, a lot of disruption, right? And I think since we're kind of moving from this hermit style energy into this more Fool and Princess of Wands style energy, it's a movement, right? It's a change from kind of staying in the house to now I'm going outside. So there's that change, there's flux, right? This is the harmonizing after that flux. Movement always implies some kind of, you know, a disruption, obviously. We're putting ripples in time, in space-time. But things are going to reharmonize. And it's very important that in order to ensure this harmony, one, that we keep following Spirit, right? But that you also are aware of the union between these two forces, between the instinct and the rational mind, let's say, or between our human self, which is very fired up and very creative and very prolific right now, with the spiritual guidance, which is always calm, which always knows better than we do. And really, that's kind of the idea of the horse and the rider. We're the horse, okay? And Spirit is the one that is going to allow us this creative freedom, allow us this instinctual kind of range of motion, but also is going to be guiding us, gently guiding us where we're supposed to be going, just like a horse and a rider together, right? Acting as one unit. And this is the harmony, this is the union that we're striving for, right? Because this is now two energies that are both fulfilling their natures in a way that is very, very resonant with each other, right? Very much in harmony with each other. And I think this is very important for you right now. Let's look at this mystery card. I'm really amazed that we don't have any water energy here. And I think really the water is just kind of getting burned up by the Princess of Wands and by all the fire energy that we have. Because, in this case, I think the water would be kind of a sentimentality or almost a sensitivity or a nostalgia, whereas this fire energy it's emotional too, but it's like passion. It's like fired up, creative emotion, right? Whereas the water would be a little bit more of the, kind of the quieter side of that, which obviously we don't have here. But if you know what this card is, this mystery card, I want you to put your prediction down in the comments. Let's see what we have. Well, no. I'm feeling Wheel of Fortune, but I don't know. Nothing is coming through very strongly here. Let's just see what we've got. We got a 3 of Swords. Now we have a little bit more swords. First of all, I think that this is, yes, confirming that you have processed a lot of old stuff. This is kind of the purging. You've done the kind of mental, emotional work, right, to process a lot of things that you've been through in your life, right? A lot of emotional stuff. Because it's swords, right? The swords are piercing the heart. I think that really was a deep dive, a deep analysis into your own emotions, right? Your own emotional life and your emotional history. And I think this is really what has allowed a lot of this fiery energy to come out. This is a heart and a mind that have spent a lot of time in the same room working stuff out, right? And now there's this freedom. Now there's this release. Now it's kind of like all this fire energy. It's like we're being renewed. It's like life begins again right now because you've done this very intense work. And maybe this was some kind of therapy or psychoanalysis, or maybe this was very deep spiritual work. But think of it as the mind and the heart in a room together, locked away, working their stuff out. Don't come out until you guys have shook hands or something, right? And that's, I think, what has taken place. And this is why now I feel the water energy is not here and the mind has clarity. Because these two have reached an agreement. They've reached some sort of alliance. They've hashed it out, let's say. Okay? And so I think this is very indicative of your intense internal work. That inner work, emotional work that you've been doing the last few months at the least. Probably years. But I think very intensely it's really culminated in the last few months. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to do an extended reading. If you want to stick around, there's a link up here. There's one down there. New readings for Scorpio, Wednesday and Saturday, 6 a.m. Chicago time. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It is totally free. It doesn't cost you anything. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. Scorpio, I want you to know that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.